Torah is not an or makif, it's an or pnimi that needs to be internalized and can be internalized. Umislabeshes gam binyanei sheker. And it can even be applied to matters of falsity, of sheker, of lies, levarer chulu, to clarify and to select the truth from the false. Today is Chaf Daled Marcheshvan, Wednesday, Mittwoch, and we're dedicating the shiur to the well-being and the protection of all the soldiers who are defending Eretz HaKodesh and the return safely and whole to all the kidnapped Anashim, Nashim, Bataf, and the refuah of all those who were injured and all those who are not well, refuah shlema, teku miyad mamash, and it should be refuah saguf and refuah sanefesh, and we should hear good news from Klal Yisrael, and all Yidden should be protected, and with the leadership of the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach, we should enter the Geula Amitis V'Ashlema, teku miyad mamash now. We are in Parashas Vayigash, Tafresh Samech Vov, page Kuf Samach Hey, and in the old edition is Kuf Chaf Daled. The paragraph that starts, Ma she'ein ken, Tap, Kuf Samach Hey. We are talking about this oirerus that comes milamaila, this awakening that comes milamaila, like a person who is asleep, that if we want the person to accomplish anything, we need to wake him up. And that's the kind of his oirus. But the Rebbe is elaborating, saying that it does not replace and doesn't come instead of avoider that has to follow. Otherwise, it goes away and it doesn't leave any lasting impression. And this is Bechlal the nature, please mute yourself. This is Bechlal the nature of the hashpa'ah of makif. מה שאין כן על ידי בחינת איסאוררוס הנ"ל לבדה. If only for this איסאוררוס awakening that comes מלמעלה, שהיא בבחינת מקיף לבד, which is that the nature of the איסאוררוס that comes מלמעלה is that it is a makif. And one of the qualities of makif versus pnimi is that makif is very klali, it's general. It is not going to any details. It's very general. And ממילא אינה שייכה לקיום המצוות בפועל ממש חולו. And naturally, this kind of inspiration is not shaykh to the actual carrying out in details of Torah and mitzvahs. It's just a general inspiration. Ubifrat, and especially since it's a makif kind of inspiration and doesn't have the pnimi effect, and especially when you come to tikkun uviro hanefesh habahamis, about the rectification and the transformation of the nefesh habahamis, when you want to accomplish that, this cannot come through that his oirerus, שזהו על ידי העבודה הנ"ל בבחינת פנימיוס דווקא. That can only be accomplished through an avoida that has to be initiated by you, by each one of us, in a pnimius way. דכאשר מתעורר באהבה שחפץ באמס באלוקוס, how does it look like when a person resolves to apply this awakening in his avoida, and that he all holds on to it so it should make a difference. How does it look like, says the Rebbe? When a person is awakened with this love, that he is authentically desiring Elokus, desiring godliness, הרי כל מה שאינו אלוקוס, ובפרט מה שהוא היפך אלוקוס, הרי אינו חפץ כלל וכלל. That anything which is not godliness, and especially, particularly, that which is the opposite of godliness, he doesn't desire whatsoever. And that's the avoida this is what he is working on, and this is what he is committing to. Through having such an attitude, נכנעים ונחלשים המידות טבעיים דנפש הבאמיס ומסבטלים במשך הזמן. And through this commitment and this work that a person does to subdue his nefesh habahamis in such a way that anything that doesn't support Elokus, he's staying away from and he doesn't desire at all, that with time subdues and weakens the midos tivim, the natural intense pulls and draws of the nefesh habahamis, umisbatlim b'meshech hazman, and all these addictions and all these temptations are with time dissipate. ומכל שכן כאשר מייגע בעבודתו לברר ולסכן פרטי המידות לנפש הבאמיס. And how much more so when it's not just a general commitment that I'm going to stay away from anything which is not godly. That is a general commitment that requires labor and requires attention and so on and so forth, and will not happen just by this inspiration that wakes us up. But how much more so, the Rebbe says, if one wants to toil in really levarer, clarify and rectify and purify the detailed midos of the Nefesh HaBahamis. He wants to, how do you call it in English? Comb stake, how do you call it? When you fine combing, the fine comb, the details of the Nefesh HaBahamis, and to consciously work on each quality of the Nefesh HaBahamis, that it should be metukan, it should be rectified, it should be pure, it should be refined, it should be transformed. והיינו, שמייגע את עצמו שגם הנפש הבאמיס יבין את העניין האלוקי והטוב דאלוקוס. And it goes so far that obviously it includes the consciousness of the Nefesh HaBahamis, that we are working on transforming the consciousness of the Nefesh HaBahamis, that the Nefesh HaBahamis as well, the intellect of the ego, will also understand divine matters and will understand the good of Elokus, the good of godliness. וישעורר גם הוא באהבה להוויה. And the Nefesh HaBahamis will also be awakened as a result of this intellectual realization, will also be awakened with love to Havai. שעל ידי זה נעשה כפייה וביטול דמידוס טבעיים דנפש הבאמיס. That through this, what is created is a כפייה, subduing and annulling the midos tivim, the natural attractions and the natural tendencies and characteristics of nefesh habahamis. וכל זה אינו שייך בהסעורוס לבדה הבאה מלמעלה. All this is not שייך to happen just because of this oiros that happens every morning, or any time that there is oiros מלמעלה. כי אם דווקא על ידי העבודה הנעשה מכוח הסעורוס דוס. It can only happen through the avoida that is created from this awakening. והגם שפועלת גם כן בנפש הבאמיס, שלא יעלים ויסתיר על הנפש האלוקית, ויהיה ביכולתו להזבונן כולו כנ"ל. Even though it's true that what does it mean that a person is awakened? It's not a physical awakening, it's a spiritual awakening. And that means that it affects the Nefesh HaBahamis. What does it mean to be asleep? To be asleep means that the Nefesh HaBahamis overpowers the Nefesh HaElokis so much that the Nefesh HaElokis is like unconscious, it's like suffocated. And this awakening that a person is awakened milamayla does have an effect also on the Nefesh HaBahamis, on the animalistic soul, שלא יעלים ויסתיר על הנפש האלוקיס. It does affect a bitul on the Nefesh HaBahamis that he shouldn't conceal and he shouldn't block the godly soul, ויהיה ביכולתו להזבונן כולו כנ"ל. And it will be impossible for him to reflect and to think about Hashem altogether. So that is an effect of this Is'orerus. However, זהו רק מה שפועל ביטול כללי בנפש הבהמיס. This is only a general bitul. This is Is'orerus, as we said in the beginning of the shiur, that makiv is general. Makiv is bitul klali, even if it's poel bitul. Since it's makiv, it's never detailed. It's a general bitul, verak l'sha'ato, and also only temporary. It's just now. It happens now, and it's general. If you don't catch it and do something with it and bring it into details, not going to happen. It's going to fade away. אבל לא שהוא נכנע ומתבטל בעצם על ידי זה. It's not that this awakening can subdue and completely מבטל בעצם the נפש הבהמיס. The נפש הבהמיס does not surrender completely as a result of this, בעצם, as a result of this awakening. Why? כי הנפש הבהמיס אינו שייך לאור וגילוי זה שיאיר בסוחו. Because the nefesh HaBahamis has no shaychus to this light. Who has shaychus to this light? The godly soul. The godly soul has shaychus to this spark, that this magical light that is thrown at us, thrown at our soul in order for us to wake up. The דווקא בנפש האלוקיס, שהוא שייך בעצם אל האור העליון, it is specifically in the godly soul that is naturally shayach, is connected to this divine light, the supreme light, הרי זה פועל בו פסיחס הנפש. That affects the נפש האלוקיס, a פסיחס הנפש, the opening of the soul, להיות מוכשר ומסוגל אל העבודה האמיתית כולו כנ"ל. That just prepares the נפש האלוקיס to now be ready and able to do real avoida. And real avoida meaning to work with the נפש הבהמיס. אבל הנפש הבהמיס straight אינו שייך לזה כלל. It's not שייך to this light, ורק מצד שיהיה הר הגבוה, הרי זה פועל ביטול בנפש הבהמיס בכללוס. It's only, really the נפש הבהמיס, it's not keli for it, to this divine light that is thrown at it. It's not a keli for it. It gets affected, it gets inspired, but in a very general way, because it's not a keli for it, it's not familiar, it's not its language. וגם זה אינו בעניינים פנימיים ועצמיים שלו. And the inspiration is external. It's not in the inner aspects of the נפש הבהמיס. אבל אינו פועל בו ביטול בעצם. It doesn't create a ביטול בעצם in נפש הבהמיס. Only avoida can create a ביטול בעצם. וכשמסתלק האור, and when this awakening light is removed, הרי זה כמו שהיה. The נפש הבהמיס remains as it is, as it was. ואין, as it was, right. And now the Rebbe makes a comment and says in the parenthesis, ואינו דומה גם כן לעניין תושייה דתורה, דסוירה, שמתשס כוח הנפש הבהמיס. This awakening is not similar to the power of the Torah to weaken the nefesh habahamis. כמו שנסבאר לאל, as it was explained before, בדיבור המסחיל וייתן לך. And if you don't mind, go for a moment to page קכ"א. In Parashas, in the Maimar וייתן לך, page קכ"א. And it's just kind of in the middle of the top paragraph, the line that starts Enosh. I'm not going to go through the whole paragraph, but the Rebbe says in those few lines that Aval Bchinas Amitis or HaTorah. We are talking about the power of Torah to reach the highest of the highest. And we spoke about Talmud Bavli, that we are dealing with the Helemos and Esterim, and that we go Helem after Helem and resolving Kushios and challenges in the Talmud. And through that, we get to the depths of Atzmus or Ein Sof. So, but that's the power of Torah, that's the Maimar. But Bchinas Amitis or Torah, hu she'eino b'bchinas hamshach haklal. Now the Rebbe takes us deep and says that the true light of Torah is not at all in a manner of hamshacha, which means it doesn't come out, it doesn't manifest. The true light of Torah is not b'bchinas hamshacha. You with me, Miriam? Verak Elokim zulaso hevin darka. This is like the Eden we are talking about. Ain lo rata Elokim zulasecha. No eye saw Elokim. We are talking about Elokim. This Elokim is not Elokim like Elokim that covers up Havaya. There is a name Elokim that represents the Helem Ha'atzmi. There's the highest, there is a name of Elokim. The Elokim Ha'atzmi, the Helem Ha'atzmi, which is higher than Havaya. And only Elokim Hevin darka. Only Elokim, only this essence of the Helem Ha'atzmi that is not revealed, that not b'chinas hamshacha, understands the true light of Torah. Vehi, what is called in Kabbalah, b'chinas shashu'e hamelech ba'atzmusoi. Chulu. Favorite subject for Fegi. Shashu'e hamelech ba'atzmusoi. The delight of the king within himself. Dibchinas Elokim, Zeu bchinas Helem Ha'atzmi de'ein sof. This Elokim is the Helem Ha'atzmi, the essential concealment of the infinite, shelemala mibchinas Shem Havaya, which is higher than Shem Havaya, shu bchinas HaGilui. Shem Havaya represents Gilui, that's the mechanism of Gilui, and Shem Elokim Ha'atzmi is the total Helem, is the essential divine Helem, concealment. ובחיnas Elokim, ובחיnas Helem Ha'atzmi mamash chulu. Elokim is mamash the Helem Ha'atzmi that is like the essence of the Torah, not b'bchinas hamshacha. It's not manifesting. וזהו מה שהתורה נקראת תושייה. Connecting to our Maimar now, this is the aspect of Torah that titles the Torah with the term Tushiyah. Tushiyah is the power to weaken others. It's a special power, shemateshes es hanefesh habahamis. That the Torah has the power to weaken the nefesh habahamis. Zeu dafka mitzad shoresh haTorah b'bchinas helem ha'atzmi mamash. This is dafka from the shoresh of Torah. That the root of Torah is from that helem ha'atzmi mamash, shebekoach ze dafka. With the power of this Helem Ha'atzmi, nidcha choshech the nefesh habahamis. The darkness of the nefesh habahamis can be rejected and replaced and transformed to light. So coming back, this piece I wanted us to remind us. So this is Ereru, says the Rebbe, is not like the power of Torah to weaken the nefesh habahamit. Torah has a real authentic power to weaken the nefesh habahamis. Shezeu b'derech birur. Torah weakens the nefesh habahamis in a manner of birur, of a process of real refinement of the ego. Liyos ki haTorah hi b'bchinas or pnimi. Torah is not an or makif, it's an or pnimi that needs to be internalized and can be internalized. Umislabeshes gam binyanei sheker, and it can even be applied to matters of falsity, of sheker, of lies, levarer chulu, to clarify and to select the truth from the false. הרי זה פועל הבירור בנפש הבהמיס. And therefore, since Torah has the power to really select and mevarer, clarify, and separate between good and bad, right and wrong, and it can be applied all the way to the lowest of lowest, to the reality of sheker. That's why it has, and why, now we know why, from the page Kuf Chaf Aleph, now we know because the Torah is rooted in Helem Atzmi, and therefore it has the power to effect a בירור, הרי זה פועל הבירור בנפש הבהמיס שמסברר ומסבטל בעצם. The Torah has the power to refine the nefesh habahamis that will be now elevated and nullified to godliness in its etzem, in its essence. Vehu bivchinas kiyum bo, and also it's a lasting change. Bivchinas kiyum, it's a lasting change. Uchemo ba'avoida hanal b'moach v'lev chulu, and it's like in a conscious avoida, which involves the person's mind and the person's consciousness and the person's heart. Va'adraba. So we have two inyanim here that mebar the nefesh habahamis. One is a conscious avoida, that when you consciously observe the nefesh habahamis, the midos nefesh habahamis, and you work on elevating them and changing them. And that's in terms of the midos. And intellectually, you work on training the nefesh habahamis and its logic to understand godliness and to understand the preciousness and the goodness of godliness, till the nefesh habahamis is drawn to godliness. This is one way of subduing the nefesh habahamis and transforming it. That's through avoida, personal avoida, on the midos of nefesh habahamis. Another way is the learning of Torah. That the learning of Torah also has this effect, because Torah is or pnimi, that can be applied in the details of our personality, intellectually, and therefore midos as well, and behavior as well. And since it comes from such a higher shoresh, it has the power to go all the way down and bring clarity into the lowest of lowest. And therefore, eventually through Torah, a person also can refine and subdue the nefesh habahamis. Va'adraba, the Rebbe says, even more so. With learning Torah, it goes even further. Od yoter, even more so, lefi shu habiru milemala lemata. Because the difference between learning Torah, seriously learning Torah, and working on your midos is that working on your midos is milemata lemaila, from below up. And learning Torah is from up down. And from below up is limited. It's how much you realize, how much you're conscious and aware of, and how much you work. And your corpus are limited. So from below up is authentic, is very personal, but it's limited. But from up down, from above to the below, and just the effect of Torah, you have the advantage that it's not limited. It's not limited with how much understanding or how much inspiration you have. It's an effect that comes milamaila. You have to work on it. Obviously, you have to learn. You have to concentrate. You have to delve into the depth of the matters of inyanim of Torah, whether it's nigle or hasidus. But the effect of it is a further effect than even the personal avoida. V'chayadua, as known. So these two inyanim of working on your midos and learning Torah, that has an internal effect and a real lasting, essential effect on the nefesh habahamis to change and to be refined in a lasting manner. Aval his orus hanal, however, the initial awakening, he bivchinas makif, is not or pnimi, like Torah, or any internal work that a person does is bepnimius, rather is bibchinas pnimi, and therefore it's very general. Umemele ein hanefesh, it's bibchinas makif, I'm sorry, it's not pnimi, it's bibchinas makif. Umemele ein hanefesh habahamis misbarer al yedei ze chulu. And naturally, the nefesh habahamis cannot be refined just through this awakening. ורק על ידי האבוידה בבחינס פנימיוס דווקא, במוח ולב, and only through the avoida in a manner of pnimius, an internal work with the mind and with the heart, על ידי זה נעשה בירור וביטול הנפש הבהמס כולו. Only that way one can accomplish the refinement and the nullification and the surrender and the dedication of the nefesh habahamis to godliness as well. ועוד זאת, and even more so, the hashpah, the effect of the avoida that you do on yourself is a lasting and even increasing effect. שהavoida bivchinas pnimius, when one works on themselves in a pnimius way, he nosenes koach ve'oz benafsho. It gives powers and strength in his nefesh, within himself, liyos od be'avoida zu, to go further in this avoida. Lisbonen ulisorer ba'ava ve'yirachulu, to reflect on matters of godliness and to go further and to be awaking himself and be awakened with love and awe of Hashem, with an emotional response. להיות שנעשה על ידי זה בעצם בבחינס קירוב לאלוקוס, being that through this, really a person becomes closer and closer to godliness, וגם הנפש הבהמיס נחלש ונתבטל חולו כנ"ל. And as the person does his avoida, the nefesh habahamis weakens and becomes more subdued, and ממילא יעבוד עבודה סעוד. Automatically what it does, that it gives him the strength to continue his work. It's like an inertia. It's an ongoing energy that gives him the power to continue this work. ואין צריך על זה יסעורוס מלמעלה עוד הפעם, to the extent that he doesn't need another pilot fire, another awakening to ignite him. He doesn't need it anymore. He is already in the inertia of work. And that inspires him, and that self-feeds. It is self-feeding, the system of self-inspiration through self-work. That as you work on yourself, you get inspired also with the midos of Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem, and that inspires you even to work further, and one feeds the other. Ki'im, so we don't need this awakening anymore. Rather, me'atzmo ya'avod avodaso. From himself now, he doesn't need to be awakened anymore. On his own, he's already doing his avoda. Ve'yale b'ma'alos be'ilui achar ilui b'madregas hakiru v'adveikus haloch v'naso achulu. And he will go higher and higher in levels of closeness and intimacy with Hashem and cleaving to Hashem, dveikus, haloch v'nasoa, as it says about Avraham Avinu, haloch v'nasoa hanegba, that he was keep going, traveling southward. The south is where the sun is shining the most, which means Gilu Elokus. He was getting closer and closer to Havai. So the Rebbe continues to talk more about this is Oyorus and the avoda that needs to follow. The bottom paragraph, it's Kuf Chaf Hey in the new edition, in the old edition. והנה העבודה הזאת שבבחינס פנימיוס, הרי היא מכוח עצמו. This avoida that takes place in a manner of pnimius, of working with it internally with the details of one's personality, הרי הוא מכוח עצמו. This comes from his own power, שמייגע את עצמו בהזבוננוס ושיהיה נרגש בפנימיוס. That one is laboring and is toiling himself in הזבוננוס, in learning and in reflecting and concentrating and being mentally present to matters of holiness and divinity, ושיהיה נרגש בפנימיוס, and he is working on taking it in such a way it shouldn't be just a passing superficial interest, rather that whatever inspires him or whatever he reaches intellectually should be taken בפנימיוס and affect him personally and affect his midos. וצריך על זה יגיעת נפש ויגיעת בשר. For this, the person needs the toil of his soul and the toil of his body. It requires energy, emotional energy, physical energy, mental energy. It really involves presence, and presence takes energy. וכן להתעורר באהבה ויראה, and to awaken oneself with love and fear of Hashem, which it should be real, not just a concept, but it should be a feeling, a personal response to this realization, הגם שבא בדרך עילה ועלול, even though the effect of the mind on the heart operates in a manner of cause and effect, that when you realize something in your mind, it's very instinctively or naturally, it will affect your heart also, but it's not necessarily so if you're not ready for it. מכל מקום צריך להיות הכנה על זה כולו. One has to have preparation for that. One has to be ready for that. Because it still can happen that one can be inspired intellectually and it will not affect the heart. So one has to make himself ready. One has to make himself a keli. It takes work. וכמו שכתוב מזה בדיבור המסחיל בכל העם רואים, ס"ה. This is Samech Vov, and the Rebbe spoke a year before, he spoke about that. ואם היות שכל זה הוא מכוח התעוררות מלמעלה, שעושה פסיחת הנפש שלו כנ"ל, and even though all this comes from where it comes, that now a person is inspired to work, it does come from this initial התעוררות, that woke him up, that creates a psichas hanefesh, an opening in his soul to start realizing and working on himself. וגם בעץ ההזבוננוס וההספיילוס ישנו לבחינת התעוררות הנ"ל בהלם כולו. And this is התעוררות really, this makif kind of התעוררות, is still present when a person is thinking deeply about matters of Elokus. When a person is engaged intellectually, and a person is involved also or responding, hispilus means a response. A personal response means midos. So when a person is engaged in his boinanus with his mind and responds with his midos, this initial awakening is still there in the back burner. It's still there in the background. It's there. It's what motivates him. But it's behelem. That's not the direct power. It's behelem. It's in a concealed way. מכל מקום ההזבוננוס והרגש פנימי והתעוררות אהבה ויראה, הכל הוא מכוח עצמו ויגיעתו. Nevertheless, side the הזבוננוס itself, the mental work, and the inner hergesh, how you sense it within yourself and make yourself sense it. והתעוררות אהבה ויראה, and the awakening of אהבה ויראה, הכל הוא מכוח עצמו ויגיעתו. Everything comes from his own toil, from his own initiation and from his own toil. רק שבא מכוח ההתעוררות. The only thing is, from where initially did he get the initial push, to wake up and to do all this? Yes, that comes from that התעוררות. ובאמס, and the truth is, that בעץ ההזבוננוס צריך להיות להעלים ההספיילוס שמצד ההתעוררות. The truth is that when you are reflecting intellectually, it's like any time when you want to bring something בפנימיוס, you you were awakened, or I was awakened, and I was inspired. And now, as a result of this inspiration, I want to sit down and do his Boinenus deep study on a divine matter. And if I want to succeed and do a good mental job on this learning, I need to conceal my excitement, my oirus, my inspiration. If my inspiration will be all the time revealed as I am reflecting, it will distract me. It will maybe excite me again, but it will take me away from my concentration. So if I want to concentrate now mentally, I actually צריך להעלים ההספילוס. One has to conceal the excitement from the inspiration that he got from this mitzad ha'is'orus, from being woken up. Next page, קוף סמך וו. דאם לא כן, if not, לא תהיה ההסבוננוס כדבעי. The mental deep study will not be proper, will not be correct if we will subject our mental work to our excitements. ולא תהיה בבחינת אור פנימי. And if we operate directly through the fire of that excitement, we will not be able to internalize properly this understanding. והרי זה רק שהוא בדרך עזר וסיוע. So this awakening is only a help, an empowerment, a סיוע, a help, an assistance, a support, שיוכל להיות ההסבוננוס. So the person could carry out an הסבוננוס. אבל ההסבוננוס עצמה, וכללוס האבוידה, but the mental reflection itself, and the whole avoida of bringing it down to his heart and making it personal and real, הרי זה מכוח עצמו חולו. This is only from his own power. This doesn't come from this awakening. והאבוידה פנימיוס הוא עיקר האבוידה. And the inner work that we need to do inside, that's the main aspect of that of the avoida. כי הסעוררוס הנ"ל היא לבדה אינה אבוידה מצד עצמה. Because this inspiration, this initial is'orus, is not even considered avoida of itself. כי אם מה שהיא הקדמה, it's only a preface, שתהיה העבודה על ידי זה, that enables the avoida to take place. וכידוע, and is known, דהאיספיילוס באסלאבוס שבבחינס מקיף אין זו avoida חולו. That any excitement with an excitement which is makif, a general excitement, even though it can be a very sparkly fire, is not considered avoida. וכנ"ל שאינו שייך לקיום תורה המצוות ולבירור נפש הבהמיס, which means any excitement and inflaming that is a makif kind of inspiration and inflaming, if we don't do something with it, it itself is not shayach to the fulfillment, the detailed fulfillment and application of Torah and mitzvahs and the refinement, the detailed refinement of the nefesh habahamis. וכמו וישכם לבן בבוקר, as we learn about the pasuk, וישכם לבן בבוקר, that Lavan got up early in the morning. Lavan is the Keser Elyon. Lavan is white. That this is this awakening from above. שזהו הקדמה, this is like a little spark from אור אינסוף, שזהו הקדמה, this is a preface, שתהיה העבודה אחר כך בתפילה. So we get an inspiration, we get a chizuk in the morning, we get an awakening in the morning to start fresh, spiritually, yes, but it's only a hakdama that should be followed afterwards with davening. And what I do with my davening after, that's my own avoida. אבל ההסעוררוס לבדה אינה avoida חולו. But the awakening itself is not avoida. ואינו דומה לבחינס אהבה עליונה נמשכת על ידי אהרון הכהן כהנא רבא. So now, the Rebbe is explaining the difference between this inspiration, this awakening, which is makif and not considered an avoida yet, and between the halas haneros, the lighting of the candles of the menorah of Aaron HaKohen, that is igniting the soul of each and every Jew in this, with this Ava Rabbah, so to do the service of Hashem. ואינו דומה לבחינס אהבה העליונה נמשכת על ידי אהרון כהנא רבא. This is not identical to this divine love that is drawn into Neshamas Israel through Aaron the high priest, the Kohen Gadol. שהאהבה עצמה היא אבוידה. This love itself, that the Kohen Gadol was nurturing the Jewish soul, or souls, through lighting the 7 types of Neshamas Israel, the 7 candles of the candelabra, this itself is part of an avoida. Va'adraba, and even more so, היא האבוידה גבוה ונעלס מאוד, בבחינת תוקף האהבה והרצו שמצד עצם הנשמה. This is a very high type of avoida that is represented by the lighting of the candles of the menorah, and it is about a very high level of divine or love of the divine, which is very intense, and it is a very intense desire to bond with Hashem, shemitzad etzem haneshama, that comes from etzem haneshama. That is what Aaron HaKohen was doing, lighting the menorah. Aval his oirus hanal. However, going back, the Rebbe is going back and forth. But this is oirus that we are talking about, Lavan, Yashkem Lavan Baboker, ein zo avoida me'atzma. It is not considered avoida, ki im hakdama levad. It's only considered a preface, a preparation for the avoida. And now the Rebbe is explaining. ואפשר יש לומר, and it's possible to say, and the Rebbe said that when any Rebbe says it's possibly, maybe we can say, it means that it's surely so, שזהו כעניין ההפרש בין חנוכת הנשיאים לעבודת אהרון בהדלקת הנרות. That this is the difference between the Chanukah HaMizbeach of the Nesiim, of the leaders of the tribes, and the avoida of Aaron, the service of Aaron, the Nesiim, every day from Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the Nesiim brought the korbanos for the dedication of the Mizbeach the first time in the Mishkan. And Aaron felt bad that he was not part of that. Aaron's avoida is בהדלקת הנרות, שאמר לו, and when Aaron felt bad that he wasn't part of the avoida of the Nesim of Chanukas HaMizbeach, rather his avoida is to light the menorah, when he felt bad, Hashem said to him, Chayecha, shelcha gadol mishelahem chulu. By your life, I can tell you that yours is greater than theirs. Because their avoida, as the Rebbe will explain, of the Nesim, it's similar maybe to this is Oirus, it's an empowerment, but it's not an avoida, and your Hadlakas HaMenorah is considered an avoida. Dehine inyan achinuch. What's the inyan of the chinuch? Chanukas HaMizbeach. What is the inyan of Chanukah, chinuch? It's also Chanukah. Or chinuch, when we are beginning the chinuch of the child, and the father takes, and the mother, of course, takes the child to first time to cheder. Or Chanukas HaMizbeach. עניין החינוך הוא על דרך משל כמו שמחנכים את התינוק שילך לבית הספר. חינוך, the Chanukah, is an empowerment. We are now beginning to train the child, the little child, to go to school. שחינוך זה הוא שילך אחר כך מעצמו בלי ציווי כלל. This chinuch, this dedication that we are doing, this beginning, this ceremony of beginning of his education, is meant to accomplish that following that day of Hanukkah of his chinuch, of the beginning of his education, following that, he will on his own, he will go every day to school. ולכן עיקר החינוך הוא בהתחלה דווקא. And therefore the main aspect of the dedication is in the beginning דווקא. כמו שהאב מחנך לבנו הקטן, like the father begins the education of his little child, ומוליכו לבית הספר, and he takes him to school, שהעיקר הוא שילך אחר כך מעצמו, that the main thing is, the goal is that the child will in the future go on his own, בחשק ורצון, willingly. He will want to go. And we want him to want to go in the future on his own. So and ויקבל בכי טוב כל מה שילמד. And if he will want to go, he will receive and integrate well everything that he was going to be taught in school. That's the purpose. And therefore, what does the father do? ולזוז, צריך שבראשונה ילך עמו האב. It's necessary that at first, the first time, the father should go with him. ומרבה לו במוהר ומתן. And he showers him with gifts and presents. ומגביה את ליבו בימין מקרבס. And he is uplifting the heart of his child with an embracing arm, which means he bestows upon the child a lot of chesed and love, beyeser mikfi hamida, more than normally. So the father is bestowing upon him gifts and love and embracement. ומפזר לו מתנות נכבדות בעיני התינוק, and he is splurging incredible gifts that the child really appreciates. שזהו לנשיאוס נפשו. The father is doing it to uplift the soul of the child, לעוררו בחשק, to awaken him with a will and a desire, להילוך זה בפעם הראשון, to go first time, to go to school, to this going to school first time. ואחר כך, and that is like an empowerment, that יוכל ללך מישראל עצמו חולו, that so in the future he will be able to go of his own initiation. וכך, so this is one example that the Rebbe gives. And another example is, הוא עניין חנוכת הבייס. When you first move, or you renovate, or I don't know, you buy a new house, and you make Chanukah Sabayis, the dedication of the house. שבהתחלה, כאשר נכנס בו, that in the beginning, when a person enters the new home, צריך לחנך את ביתו במשתה וסעודה. He has to dedicate his house and to initiate his presence in the house with a big feast and with a meal. ומביאים רעיו מתנות, and his friends are bringing gifts. וכמו ממיני מזון טוב, and like good kinds of food. ומברכים אותו, and they bless him שיצליח בבית הזה, and they bless him that he should be successful in this house. שכל זה הוא המשכה מבחינת מקיף ומזל העליון. All this is an המשכה from the makif, of the divine makif, and mazal ha'enyon. It's a makif kind of an empowerment that is an empowerment. It is an inspiration from above, and it is a support from above, but it doesn't replace everything all the choices that the person is going to make once he lives in the house. So this gives him amshacha mibchinas makif, a general empowerment. This ceremony of dedication, the people are coming and bringing all these gifts and foods and so on and bless him. That is amshacha mibchinas makif from the divine mazal sheyishkon babayit hazeh, that will dwell in this house. Liten lo bo koach habracha va'ashefa, that to give him the empowerment for bracha and the shefa and abundance, ve'parnasa uvane v'chaye chulu, in sustenance and in children and health chulu. כמו שכתוב, להניח ברכה אל ביתך. As it says, to place a bracha at your home. כי המקום והבייס גורם חולו, שבחנוכה זו נמשך אחר כך מצד מקום הבייס עצמו, שיצליח בו ויומשך בו כל ברכה בשפע, בכל אשר יעשה בבייס הזה חולו. So this time and this place is kind of an empowerment and a cause that in this Chanukah Habayis, afterwards it will continue, that a person will be successful, and this is an empowerment that it now makes it possible. It prepares this place, this house, and that family, that now all this bracha and shefa will come and will dwell upon everything he is going to do in this house. So this is one example was taking the child to school. Another example is the dedication of a new home. And the third example is Chanukas HaMizbeach al Yedei HaNesiim, the dedication, the Chanukah of the Mizbeach by the heads of the tribes. ובדוגמה כזאת יובן בחנוכת המזבח על ידי הנשיאים. וכידוע בעניין המזבח החיצון, שהוא בחינת מלכוס דאצילוס, and is known regarding the outer mizbeach, the outer altar, that is the aspect of Malchus of Atzilus, ve'eish tamid tukad al hamizbeach, and there has to be a permanent fire that is burning on top of the mizbeach, and hey gvuros de Malchus. These are the five gvuros of Malchus. Malchus is connected with gvuros, שמבררים בירורים דרפח ניצוצים חולו. Because Malchus and Gvuros are necessary for Malchus, which also generates Or Pnimi, which means it's an Or that is particularly invested in each and every creation in order to mevarer it, in order to elevate it. And it requires tzimtzumim. When Malchus goes down to the lower worlds of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya to elevate them. Just as a person who wants to change himself, he has to consciously deal with the details of his personality and go into the low details of his midos, his nefesh habahamis midos that need to be refined. So too it is within the power of Malchus to go down and elevate and refine and elevate the created worlds, and this is done through the five gvuros, the source of tzimtzumim, of focusing of Malchus, שמבררים בירורים דרפח ניצוצים, that elevate, do the avodah birurim of the rapach, the 288 sparks that fell in Shviras HaKelim, fell down, that need to be elevated. והוא עניין העבודה. Now, in terms of avoida, הוא עניין העבודה בתפילה, בבחינס אהבה, באסלאבוס ורשפה אש. This is avoida in tefillah, which is represented by this אש על המזבח, אש תמיד תוקד על גבי המזבח. There has to be an ongoing fire, burning, constant fire, burning on top of the mizbeach, which is really the avoida in tefillah. Now we don't have the mizbeach, we don't have the temple, but we have our heart, we have the inner mizbeach with which we daven and in which we daven. And this is the tefillah in a manner of ava, bislavus, verish pe'esh, that to daven with a love, which is like a fiery love that desires to come close to Hashem. The eish zeh, this burning fire, the kedusha of holiness, soref umechale eish zara deleum hazeh. It burns away and consumes any foreign fire, any foreign ungodly desire of leum hazeh, of the opposite of godliness, kemoshe yisbaer, as the Rebbe will explain in the Maimar Yehuda Ata. ועל זה היה תחילת חנוכת הנשיאים, next page, קס"ז, which is eventually קכ"ו in the old edition. On this, there was first Chanukas Hanesim Beribui HaKorbanos. So in order for the Mizbeach to be able to daily accomplish physically the burning of the animals, and spiritually it's the burning of our foreign desires of the Nefesh Abahamis, that's the function of the Mizbeach HaChitzon, which is using the power of Malchus of Atzilus. For this, at first, Tchila, what you needed is Chanukas HaNesim Beribui Korbanos. There had to be a ceremony of Chanukas HaMizbeach, the dedication of the Mizbeach, with Ribui Korbanos, with myriads of sacrifices, like the father that brings many matanos, or the friends that bring many gifts to the new house, new home. וגם, and also, הקטרס קטורס על מזבח החיצון, חולו. There was the haktara of Ktores on the outer mizbeach. And I think it was only then, it was only because the Ktores really was is brought on the mizbeach hapnimi, the golden mizbeach. The outer mizbeach is for animals. But at that time of that Chanukah mizbeach, on the beginning of Nisan, they also were maktir Ktores, incense, on the outer mizbeach hachitzon. והוא שהמשיכו בבחינת מלכוס גילוי אור עליון ביותר חולו. What spiritually they accomplished by bringing all these extra sacrifices and incense onto the mizbeach hachitzon, the outer mizbeach, is they drew into Malchus of Atzilus Or Elyon Beyoter, very higher light, from higher in Atzilus and even higher than Atzilus, in order to empower Malchus to accomplish through our avoida and through our tefillus, as the Rebbe is explaining, and carrying the divine service, the refinement of the whole world, beginning with the Nefesh HaBahamis. וכל זהו כדי ליתן כוח ועוז. All this ceremony of bringing those extra sacrifices and incense onto the Mizbeach by the Chanukas HaMizbeach, it was in order to empower and to give power and strength. Liyos b'Mizbeach, there should be in that altar, in the Mizbeach, koach ha'alas mayim nukbin be'esh shelamata, to empower the Mizbeach with the power of mayim nukbin, which means initiation from below. Shehen bchinas hei gvurot shebemalchus, which is the hei gvurot shebemalchus, la'alos v'levarer v'rapach nitzutzim b'bchinas bitul ha'yesh la'ayin chulu. To elevate, to purify, to refine all these 288 nitzutzim that fell down, that really came from very high level, and fell, and we learn in the Maim Rabbi Min Torah Or, and they fell down in the manner of Yeshus and Nefesh HaBahamis, and the Yeshus of Olam Hazeh, but now through the Mizbeach, and which is the center of the temple, the center of the divine service, and through the inner Mizbeach of everybody's hearts, that gives the power to refine those nitzutzim and bring them back to their source, to their root, to their shoresh, in a manner of bitul hayesh la'ayin. שכל זה יהיה כוח במזבח מצד עצמו להבא תמיד בלי הפסק. And this will be an empowerment, this dedication, so the Mizbeach will be now, from then on its own, accomplish all this without needing to do a ceremony of dedication each time. כמו שכתוב, אש תמיד תוקד. As it says, from then on, there was a permanent fire on the Mizbeach, and the Mizbeach had the power to elevate all these animals. ורק בפעם הראשון צריך להיות החינוך בהמשך המרובע. It's only the first time that the dedication, the Chanukah HaMizbeach, has to be done with a lot of amshacha from above. to be an empowerment from the avoid to the avoida from below that will be continuing after that. בכדי שיהיה אחר כך העלה הזמן מצד עצמו. So it should be followed later on by the avoida from below of his own. אבל avoid, that is עניין of חנוכת המזבח of the נשיאים. So the חנוכת המזבח of the נשיאים is like a Chanukah's Abayis, people get a new home. It's like Chanukah's Hachinuch, when a father gives a child, brings the child to school the first time. It's an empowerment, but it's not called Avoida. Like this is Oirus. It's an empowerment, but it's not called Avoida. Aval, however, let's just finish this paragraph. Avoidas Aaron, Hayat Midis. The Avoida of Aaron HaKohen was daily. It wasn't a one-time thing. It was an ongoing avoida. להדליק es haneros bechol yom. To light the candles of the candelabra daily. והיינו שאין זה כעניין החינוך. This is not like the Chanukah, the dedication that is done one time. אלא זוז היא גופה של האבוידה. This is the avoida itself. להמשיך בנשמות ישראל מבחינת אב הרבה שלמעלה מטעם ודעת. To draw onto the neshama, into the neshamas Israel, a great love which is higher than reasoning. והיינו להמשיך בהם גילוי אור עצמי דאור אינסוף, to ממשיך into neshamas Israel, a revelation of אור עצמי of אור אינסוף, בחינס פני המנורה, as we discussed before, this is called פני המנורה, which represents אור אינסוף, שעל ידי זה יסעוררו בבחינס אהבה רבה, that through this they will be awakened in a manner of Ava Rabba, כמו שנתבאר לעיל, as was what was explained before. Where was the before? You see, one of the times before was page Kuf Samach Beis. אהרון הכהן מדליק את הנרות, פועל מבחינת אהבה רבה בנשמות ישראל, מעוררם לעלות למעלה. ואין זה כמו הקדמה על איזה אבוידה. This is not what Aaron HaKohen was doing daily, is not הקדמה על איזה אבוידה, כי אם it was part and parcel, היא האבוידה עצמה. It was a collaborative work of Aaron HaKohen and נשמות ישראל. ולכן היה אבוידה זו בכל יום. And that's why this avoida of Aaron HaKohen wasn't a one-time thing. It was daily, every day, each day. היינו ביום חסונסוי וביום שמחת ליבו בזמן בית המקדש. This was at the time of the Mishkan and בית המקדש, שהיה אפשר להיות אבוידה זו בנשמות ישראל. That when it was possible to carry out this avoida in נשמות ישראל, when we had a temple, וכמו כן גם עכשיו. Now too, we can have this avoida of Aaron HaKohen. How can we resemble and copy and collaborate with the avoida of Aaron HaKohen גם עכשיו, when we don't have the temple? יכול להיות על ידי שמחה של מצווה חולו. It can be through the simcha of mitzvah, the joy of mitzvah חולו. ויין מה שכתוב בתורה אור דיבור המסחיל ואתה תצווה. In Ata Tetzave in Torah Or, it talks about Simcha Shel Mitzvah. It transcends even the mitzvah itself in some way. The Arizal spoke highly about Simcha Shel Mitzvah. And we are still in the middle of discussing this is Oerus. We didn't finish. So we'll stop here and end the Maimar in Yotz Hashem next week. Be'edas Hashem.